So it's decision time for Forest and Luca when it comes to whether or not he is going to join. Welcome to your Forest transfer news. Hi guys, hope you're doing well and welcome to your latest Forest transfer news. Coming up on today's video, I'll give you the latest deals on Luca, what's happening with him, and are Forest getting closer or really further away from that transfer. We got an update with a link to a defender, and speaking of defenders, I'll also tell you about a defender who's played for Forest but might be on his way as well. And no, it's not number 35. So make sure you've hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed as well if you are new. And let's jump into the news. There will be a video out later on today on Patreon. So if you're a Patreonee, thank you very much. If you want to join and support us further, you can scan that QR code. But let's start with the striker. Luca decision time. So Forest have got pretty much a full agreement with Napoli over Luca. And the agreement is roughly, I think, £1 million in a loan fee with an option to buy. Now, they're happy. Napoli are happy. Sean Dyche is happy because we know how he feels about 6'7" giants. Everyone's happy apart from one person in particular, and that's the striker Luca. Now, happy is probably the wrong words to be using. He's still thinking about it. Why is he thinking about it? This guy is like third choice, I think, at Napoli currently, not getting many game times, 1 goal in 16. But there is another club that is interested in him, and that's Pisa, who are in Serie A, and he likes the idea of remaining at Serie A, and obviously he's played for them before, so it's a bit like, you know, Fraser, man, and cheers, everyone knows your name kind of thing. But the thing that I don't understand is Pisa is sitting 19th in Serie A. Like, is this the level we're competing with? No disrespect to them, but even Wolves in the Premier League should be having more pull. But I suppose Burnley, as the least pulley kind of team in the Premier League, should have more pull than Pisa. Is this a Sean Dyche thing? Am I pushing my Sean Dyche agenda? I don't know. So clearly he's thinking about it. Now, I'm not saying he doesn't want to join Forest, but I kind of want players that, you know, chomping at the bits to go. Kind of giving me Jimenez vibes from last year. Was that the year before, where it was like the red carpet got rolled out, the whole, you know, entourage went out to see him and everything else, and now we're doing this over freaking Luca. I think he's a good striker, don't get me wrong, but there is talks that if this one doesn't come through, then Forest are gonna again look at Strand Larsen and at El Nassiri, and that's the one I would want out of the three of them. Because if Napoli were to get rid of Luca, they also want him as well. And there's talks that Juventus are looking at El Nassiri as well if they don't get Mateta, which is looking less likely at the moment. So at the moment with the striker front, there's a lot of dominoes that are waiting to fall over. And to be honest, that first domino in most of these scenarios is actually Luca. But the decision is expected within the next 24 hours. So as soon as we hear anything on it, we will, of course, bring it to you. But let me know in the comments, do you want that kind of attitude from a striker who's coming? Or are you two getting Jimenez vibes and Marmoush vibes as we saw in previous transfer windows? So get those thoughts in the comments. Okay, let's move on to the second story. And this is of a defender that's being linked with Forest. And this is Oosterwolde. Don't know how to pronounce his name properly. Let's call him Jayden. Let's go by his first name. So Forest are interested in strengthening at the back. And why Jayden would work so well is because he can play both centre-back and left-back. Currently at Fenerbahçe, and there is an option for Forest to do some business here. Now, there are other clubs interested in the young centre-back, the Dutch young centre-back, should I say, and those are Crystal Palace and Roma. They hold more of an interest currently than Forest do because Crystal Palace are obviously desperate. Everyone is just making for the exits there right now. You know, Mateta might be going. They've lost Gehi, so this would be one they're looking to replace him with. The manager doesn't want to be there. Maybe it's all Marinakis' fault, who knows, or maybe they're just still not checking their emails. But anyway, back to Forest. So this 24-year-old would be, I think, a fantastic option for Forest if we were to do it. He's valued somewhere in between 10 and 15 million pounds, though Fenerbahçe may be asking for a little bit more if a lot of interest is drummed up around him. And what's good about him is because number 35 has gone, Forest are thinking about how they're going to protect that left back position if, you know, in the unfathomable scenario that Nico Williams was to get injured, for example, who would step in there? Or they could use him as a direct backup for, say, Murillo, because he's more a left-sided centre-back for me. But I'd be all for this one. I don't think it would be an expensive deal to do. But I think when it comes to Jayden, he's going to decide, does he want guaranteed football at a small club like Crystal Palace, or is he willing to fight for his place at Forest, if indeed Forest do persist it further? So get your thoughts in on him. If you've seen him play, do you like him? Would you take him at Forest? And do you think the idea of him covering centre-back and left-back is a good thing? Because speaking of which, what a lovely segue into the third section. And this is on Cubano. Wow, this one's a bit of a crazy one. Right, so Cubano, who, let me refresh your memory, this was part of the triple deal. Jair Cunha, Igor Jesus and Cubano in the summer, if I cast your minds back to it. Forest signed him and then in effect loaned him back to Botafogo. Excuse me. Now, that came to an end in January because that's when their season finished, and Cubano is now in Nottingham. He actually played, I think, with the under-21s against PSG the other night, if not last night, and I thought, you know, there was good signs and bad signs within him. However, the hierarchy really did not like what they must have seen, because there is talks already that he's going to be shipped back to Brazil, and Vasco is the club that's interested in him. Vasco have approached Forest on a loan deal for Cubano, but Forest have said no. If we're going to get rid of him, we want a permanent deal. And that's where it just baffles the mind. It's like, okay, so we signed him and then we loaned him back out because we got Zinchenko and he kind of wanted to stay a bit longer at Botafogo. Now that 35 is going and we don't really have a backup left back, we're going to sell him instead? I don't know. It doesn't make sense. I think the question still has to be, is he ready for the Premier League? Now, the clear and obvious answer is no, because he hasn't played in the Premier League. He's going to have to adapt. But coming in as an understudy to Nico Williams, I think makes sense. And I also like that he's quite attacking. Remember, this is a player that used to play at left wing as well a lot and then kind of slowly worked his way back towards left back. And I just don't think he's a player that suits a Sean Dyche system. So I could see Forest trying to offload him, but I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up at a loan deal. Now, what would be interesting is how would this make the Brazilian fans say at Botafogo feel? Forest have taken him from Botafogo, freaking played with their food a little bit, let it go cold, and then like, right, we're going to ship you back to a Brazilian team, but you're not going back to Botafogo. No, you're going to Vasco instead. Now, is there rivalries between them? I don't know, but if you do, let me know in the comments. But I just think it's a little bit silly. It's a little bit silly from Forest. Again, it points to a bit of haphazardness going on in the summer transfer window. And I kind of just want to see him play. I'm not saying play him in the Premier League or in a Europa League match, but I don't know, maybe 15 minutes here and there. Bread him in, see how he looks in the preseason in the summer, and then take it from there. And on top of that, there is also interesting inquiries from Vasco on Jair Cunha to see if there was potential for availability for him. Now, he's one I'd be completely against Forest loaning out or selling or whatever, because I see a very bright future in him. He's still being talked about the future of the Brazilian national team's defense. Him and Murillo, man, in a Brazil... That would be good. That would be good. But those are your main headlines today. Those three key stories. Get your thoughts in down below. And make sure you check out if you want more details on Luca and the details surrounding that. We had a video out on that yesterday. Make sure you've liked. Make sure you've subscribed. Make sure you've hyped up whatever this new hype thing is as well. I'd appreciate it. We'll see you on the next video. Come on, you Reds.